today look like Easter.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Black Ocean. I hope everybody is well. I hope everything has gone productive for you earlier in the day and the days prior to. But as you see with the name of the title, I wasn't going to touch this, but I saw a couple of things in this that I felt I was going to have to address as only I could. And I had to title this Going West to Nowhere. $1 billion buffoon, because see, in our society, one of the things that we're going to have to understand is just because somebody has a lot of money, it does not make you necessarily very intelligent. It doesn't make you a genius. And we're going to break down a couple of things in this interview that Kanye, as I call him, did with Tucker the Sucker Carlson. You know, before we even get started, though, I want you all to do something for me very quickly. I like to make sure that everybody can hear. So if you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. Let me see a couple of 1s in the chat, a black fist, anything to let me know that you can hear me. Everything is okay. If not, I will adjust the audio. So I will wait until I start to see some feedback to make sure that everybody can hear me okay. All right. Okay, I'm starting to see some 1s in here. Okay, shout out to brother Torian Rains, sister Patricia Jenkins. Okay, Project Leroy, my brother Dunamis. Cool Keezy, Captain PY2, Nightfall Drop. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Okay, cool. I'm glad that you all can hear this, because see, what I'm going to break down with the Kanye situation here today is, unfortunately, one of the worst things in life that can happen to a black person that achieves any amount of success or that becomes very wealthy, famous, whatever the case may be, you get a certain status. One of the most dangerous things in the world is to have a bunch of yes men around you that never tell you the truth about yourself. Combine that with being arrogant to the point that, as his song said, wait till he get his money, right? You can't tell me nothing, right? Ain't that what he said? Well, we starting to see that. And then you combine that with something that I would never make fun of, which is a mental illness, because this man is clearly mentally unstable. He wanes in and out of mental stability. But I'm going to play this. This is like a portion of the interview that he did with Tucker Carlson. And I think it's the most significant portion. I watched all 2 hours of it, but we're going to focus on that first hour over here today. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you hadn't, hit that like button, share the broadcast, and we're about to learn a couple of things here today, because chances are what I'm going to point out, a lot of people probably haven't touched on the way that I'm going to do it. And I think it's going to be most constructive, and everybody's going to walk away from it learning something here today. So with that said, we're going to get into this interview and start to dissect this thing.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Kanye West, now known as Ye, is one of the best-selling musical artists in the world. He's also in recent years become a celebrated and very highly paid fashion designer. And of course, for a decade, he was well known to TV audiences as an in-law of the Kardashian family. But it's West's latest incarnation as a kind of Christian evangelist that brought us to his office in Los Angeles today for the interview you're about to see. Days ago, during Fashion Week in Paris, West, accompanied by his friend Candace Owens, unveiled a t-shirt that read simply, "White Lives Matter." The response from the fashion industry and international media was instantaneous and uniform. Shock, horror, rage. "There is no excuse for this," thundered the New York Times. "West is legitimizing extremism," shrieked Rolling Stone, etc., etc. What was strikingly missing from the coverage, however, was any explanation for why West did this. What was the t-shirt about? No one seemed to think to ask him, much less to listen to what he had to say. Instead, the enemies of his ideas dismissed West, as they have for years, as mentally ill. Too crazy to take seriously. Look away, ignore him. He's a mental patient. There's nothing to see here. But is West crazy? You can judge for yourself as you watch what we're about to show you. He has his own ideas, we can say that. Creative people tend to. That's why they're artists, not actuaries. His free-form social media posts give the impression of a man channeling his rawest emotions right onto Instagram. The effect can be jarring and is often used as ammunition against him in the battle for influence over the minds of America's young people, and that battle is intense. But crazy? That was not our conclusion. In fact, we've rarely heard a man speak so honestly and so movingly about what he believes. But again, you can judge for yourself. Here it is. So you just came from Paris Fashion Week, you just landed.
So I'm going to pause it right here now. As we get ready to go into this and analyze this together, I want you all to look at Kanye's antics over the last few years. And I want you to ask yourself these questions while you watch this as we break this down. Show me the white equivalent of Kanye that white society will hold up and say, yeah, this is the guy that we want to speak for us and represent us on serious issues. I just want to drop that on you as we listen to this. Let's get started.
And the lanyard's still on from it, and there's a photograph on it. What is that?
It's a photograph of a baby's ultrasound.
Why is that? And then you designed that?
Yes.
Why? What does that mean?
It just represents life. I'm pro-life.
Boy, so you wear it on a badge. What kind of response do you get? And good, amen. I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of black death in America is abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
I'm starting to see why they want to make you be quiet.
Now, the other thing I want to point out to you all as this interview progresses here, I want you to take a close look, because this is something I want to teach you all over here when you come over here to my channel. I want to teach you how to analyze a white supremacist. Every time that camera pans over to Tucker Carlson's face, I want you to study his face. I want you to see the smug look that he has on his face, because see, that's not a look of I agree with you. That's a look of this is the perfect Pavlovian dog that has been programmed to buck dance and say whatever we want him to say, so that you can be the black person that, you know what they always say, I got that black friend where they talking about Kanye, a buck dancing buffoon that'll carry water for white supremacy. And see the issues that he spoke on regarding deletion of children, right? Why didn't Kanye, at least up until this point, because I've seen this whole thing and at no point in time does he ever do it. Why didn't Kanye bring up the fact that who's promoting that primarily to our community? See, the thing about a coon, ladies and gentlemen, whether you are liberal or conservative, buck dancing coon, they always touch on the surface of mentioning things when they are talking about black people, but they never point to who's directly responsible or largely responsible for the issues, because everything loops back around to white supremacy. Yes, there are things we have to take accountability for in our community, but we can in no way, shape, or form let the perpetrators and the organizers of the system of white supremacy off the hook. And that's what all of them do. You have to look the other way on racism and white supremacy to be a part of either of those parties, but especially these buck dancing conservatives. So I just wanted to get that out there as we analyze this. Excuse me.
When did you start to feel this way? When did you start to realize this?
I really felt like, I think I started to really feel this need to express myself on another level when Trump was running for office, and I liked him.
Yes.
And every single person in Hollywood, from my ex-wife to my mother-in-law to my manager at that time to, you know, my so-called friends / handlers around me, told me, like, if I said that I liked Trump, that my career would be over, that my life would be over. They said stuff like people get killed for wearing a hat like that. They threatened my life. They put my life. They basically said that I would be killed for wearing the hat.
I'm sorry, I had to point that out. Did y'all see that big Sambo cheese eating grin that he had on his face when he was sitting next to the Cheeto man? Oh man, good God, well that kind of cooning don't make no sense.
I had someone call me last night and said anybody wearing a White Lives Matter shirt is going to be green lit, and that means that they're going to beat them up if they wear it. And I'm like, you know, okay, green light me then. You know, God builds warriors in a different way. I don't know if it's because of me being born in Atlanta and growing up on the south side of Chicago that, you know.
Wait just a goddamn minute. Y'all know I was finna come correct this right here. Look here, boy. Atlanta don't claim you, boy. Atlanta don't claim you down now. You might have been born here, but you don't have the spirit of our people traditionally here, man. Because, I mean, a lot of people, they tend to judge my city by recent times and what you see on TV, but nah, brother, we don't claim you over here. We put you on Chicago. That's where you stay. You know, much love to my Chicago brothers and sisters in the chat, but y'all got to claim Kanye. Y'all got to claim him, but let's let him continue.
He made me for such a time like this. It's like with David. You know, he tended to the sheep, but while he was out there, he had to fight all kinds of animals. So when it was time for Goliath to come, he thought because he was a sheep herder that he didn't have the skill set to take down Goliath. And the thing that I have is the position, I have my heart, but the number one thing is we have God on our side. And for the people, even if you don't believe in God, God believes in you.
So you made reference to the White Lives Matter t-shirt that you brought out at Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Why did you do that, and what did it mean?
You know, I do certain things from a feeling. I just channel the energy. It just feels right. It's
pause right there. First, what he was saying about, okay, if you don't believe in God, God still believes in you. I'll agree with that statement. That's very true. However, I'm going to tell you like this. No matter what faith you claim in this chat room, one of the things that you cannot equate to a God of justice is cowardice. And it's very cowardly not to confront evil for what it is. Now, the White Lives Matter shirt, this is what concerns me about what this man said. Because, oh yeah, I'm finna microanalyze this. I'm gonna microanalyze this down to the second across a number of different factors, starting with black masculinity. First things first, brothers and sisters, if you're a young black person over here in this chat today, as black men, you do not operate primarily. Keyword, I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying. We all have feelings. But as men, the chief providers, builders, and protectors of our society, it is not our job to operate primarily off of feelings. Okay? We operate off of thought and logic. That's what we're supposed to do, because those are the things necessary to solve problems in life. So that's the first thing that threw me off when he said it's a feeling, you just went with it. We all know that White Lives Matter is a white supremacist dog whistle. They're not saying that because they're trying to say, hey, our lives matter too. No, it's a white supremacist dog whistle. And they know that. He knows that. So when him and the Coonstress, shout out to Brother Tarian Rand, I had to borrow your term, brother, and give you credit. The Coonstress, Candace Owens, look at her, man. Oh my God. These two, I tell you, boy, they are a disgrace to anybody wearing the dignified uniform of black skin. And I know she's non-FBA, but I'm just saying, anybody wearing our uniform, they're a disgrace to it. Because see, for you to go and put that White Lives Matter shirt on, okay? Then you go up here on national TV or it was televised, wherever this place was they was at, fashion event, whatever. You put that on because you know you're going to get approval from white people. So here's what I want to set as a standard for not just Kanye or Kundis, either one of them. Every black person that wears our uniform, that put on that coon outfit, it's going to have to be permanent from now on. I'm going to say it again. Every black person that puts on the coon outfit, it needs to be permanent from now on. See, you can't put your little coon outfit on temporarily to get pats on the head and favor from white society, then come running back over here to us when they turn on you. Because we all know, shout out to the Grandmaster Teacher Neely Fuller Jr., when white supremacy is done with its tools, it always breaks them in a most severe and savage fashion. And we see Kanye is finding that out the hard way now, but I'm going to touch on that a little bit later. With that being said, let's go ahead and finish playing some of this right here.
Using a gut instinct, a connection with God, and just brilliance. You know, like as if you asked like Tanya Harding how she did the triple flip or the triple spin. Yeah. She was in so much practice that when it was time for her to skate in a competitive format, it just happened. Like it happened outside of practice. It happened in the real format, and that's what's happening. Is God is like preparing us for the real battles, and we are in a battle with the media. Like the majority of the media has a godless agenda, and the jokes in network and this whole like, oh yeah, he's crazy and all these things, they don't work because the media has, you know, they've also watched travesties happen, just even specifically to me, and just watch it and act like it.
Okay, let's stop right here. See, a lot of times when this man opens his mouth and starts speaking and everybody throw that genius term on him, oh, he's a genius, oh my God, listen to what Kanye said. He'll touch on some things here and there and drift in and out of coherence, but let's deal with what he just said about the media, okay? Kanye, if you're going to call out the mainstream media, you need to be direct about who's in control of the media, okay? Who's in control of the media? That's the dominant society. So instead of being vague about it, because y'all gonna see two words that he never mentioned in this interview. I ain't gonna call them yet. Y'all gonna catch it over here because a lot of y'all are in new black media circles. He ain't gonna use them two words, and we all know what they is. That's WS. He ain't gonna use nothing about them two terms. So when you start babbling about God and God this, God that, and you talking about evil or a godless agenda, notice how these Sam Bozos and Sam Betts Never talk about that other side. And I'm putting this on bootlegging black conservatives and these buck dancing liberals alike. They only act like it's one party or the other. That's a big problem in our community when it comes to a lot of people that are trying to pledge allegiance to a political party. How about you pledge allegiance to your people first? And then if you're going to stand up on something, if you're going to go to these people, you go to them saying, listen, I'm not going to be your little mascot. You're going to have to provide tangibles for my people. Notice none of them ever demand that, but let's let them keep talking here.
Wasn't happening, and they stayed quiet about it.
What if they?
I want to answer the white. Yeah. I feel like someone caught what I was saying, the comparison to Tanya Hardin about the White Lives Matter. You know, my dad is an educated ex-Black Panther, and he put a text to me today. He said, "White Lives Matter." Ha.
Let's stop right there again. And you're right. He pulled the Tanya Hardin thing out of his ass. Because, see, that goes back to this man waning in and out of coherence. It's not that nobody didn't understand what he was saying. It just didn't correlate to the message he's talking about the White Lives Matter things. See, just wait till I break down that Georgia Senate debate tomorrow. Because, see, this is something else that ties into that. When somebody asks you a direct question, ladies and gentlemen, you should be able to answer that question. They shouldn't have to beg you or redirect. You should be able to answer the question that you were asked directly. Because, see, if I talk to somebody that asks me a specific question, anything that comes out of my mouth can be considered an answer. But I want y'all to pay close attention to something, because it's common sense 101. Anything that comes out of my mouth can be an answer, but it's not a direct answer. See, when y'all dealing with politicians or anybody, especially when you conduct a business, if you ask a specific question, you are supposed to get a direct answer. And if they try to deflect, you correct them. I will cut you off mid-sentence if I'm doing business with you and you don't give me a direct answer to the specific question I ask. I don't play games when it comes to business. And politics for us is business, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we're going to have to deal with things. And see, what we're going to have to start realizing is when you look at a Kanye West, okay, when you look at a Herschel Walker, when you look at a Raphael Warnock, I got to go here even before I get to the broadcast tomorrow where I'm going to surgically break that down. These are the representatives they want to hold up to you as the face of black men. Kanye may be a billionaire, but this man clearly does have severe mental issues. Okay. He lacks common sense. Okay. Then when you look at Raphael Warnock, he's a very intelligent man, but he's a greedy, buck-broken coward. Then when you look at Herschel Walker, you know what? I ain't gonna even punch down that speak for itself. I ain't gonna even punch down that speak for itself. I mean that they want to hold those three archetypes up as the face of black men, and the other one we all know, the kaleidoscope community. Them four archetypes, that's what they want as black men, because see, when you carry yourself like those four archetypes of men I just detailed, using Kanye, okay, using Herschel Walker, Warnock, and anybody that's sashaying around from the off-code black LGBTQ community. Because if you on code, I don't have an issue with you. But if you off-code in the LGBTQ community and you allowing these people to use you as a mascot and you don't get nothing tangible out of it, that's the embarrassing thing for those of you in that community. If you gonna sell out, at least sell out for something. You don't really sell out for anything that's gonna do you any good long term. So my greater point is this. They want to hold those four archetypes up as the face of black men because you do not challenge the system of white supremacy when you fit any of those four archetypes. Keep that in mind as we analyze the rest of this.
And I said, I thought the shirt was a funny shirt. I thought the idea of me wearing it was funny. And I said, Dad, what do you think was funny? He said, just a black man stating the obvious. Yeah. And, you know, my dad doesn't listen to rap music, and he's like super educated. We opened up a water distribution center.
Got to interrupt again. He said that his dad was an ex-Black Panther. Now, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are well studied, that are in new black media spaces, who have learned about a lot of our grandmaster teachers that have led you to studying our past and that era of the Black Panthers, we all know that the real riders are either dead or in prison. Now, I don't know which his father is as far as like being a rider or an off code person, but I would have to suspect he's off code, because if I was an ex-Black Panther and I'm aware of what has happened to our people and I see what's going on present day, and I see my son wearing a White Lives Matter a t-shirt, I'm going to check my son. We're going to have a real serious conversation. Oh, we're going to have a definite come to Black Jesus moment. I mean, that's going to be a like, listen, I don't know how you turned out cool, but I didn't raise you this way. And not just that. See, if you got a father that's really on his job and he was in the household, he ain't gonna let you come up that way. It's gonna be hard for you to break the discipline that they instilled in you, is what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna be hard for you to do that. Now, you can choose to go the other way, but it's gonna be very difficult because you had a foundation and a structure that gave you something to go off that wouldn't even lead you in the direction of doing any of these things that Kanye does. You see what I'm saying? So when you see this man doing what he's doing here, he's up here in front of Tucker Carlson. He's trying to act as if what he did, there's a justification for it. I want y'all to pay attention to what he's about to say next.
In the Dominican Republic together, he's like the original Steve Jobs, but he was getting blocked every which way with all of his ideas, and he didn't have an endless bank account, and he didn't have Instagram, so all these ideas he had to like take them back and compress them. Like, my dad is the most brilliant person that I know, and we actually have a strained relationship because I was taken from him.
Okay, so now he said his dad was a brilliant person. Let me emphasize something to everybody in this chat right now, and salute to everybody just coming in. Welcome. Hit the like button. If you hadn't already, please do share the broadcast. But this is something I want to point out when you start hearing people talking about how intelligent somebody is, when they start talking about academic credentials or just carrying on and on about how brilliant somebody is. You can have all those things, ladies and gentlemen, but if you lack common sense, it ain't worth a damn. Think about it. The bedrock foundation of true intelligence is common sense. When you are devoid or detached from common sense, you're just like a boat drifting out on a raging, storming ocean with a failed engine. You are a sitting duck for everything else in life. Everything in life that sees and recognizes that you don't have common sense in the world is going to prey on you. And this man has a bunch of people around him preying on him. He's going to indicate that later in this interview. Because, see, you know, if it wasn't for a lot of his willfully coonish behavior, even though this man clearly does have a mental problem, he's got enough common sense to make decisions and choices. It's not like he's in a perpetual state of incoherence. He knows what he's doing. So I don't feel any sympathy for anybody like him, that when you go out your way to make egregious statements and insult our people. No, I can't give you a pass on that. It would be different if this man was severely mentally disabled, but he's not. He's not. When you make choices, you have to settle for the consequences of your actions. Now, I'm saying not just for Kanye, but for all of them. What we're going to have to start realizing is we have the power and ability to inflict consequences on these people. And y'all know, y'all have heard me say this before. The way you inflict consequences on them, a lot of y'all probably saying, well, how can we inflict consequences on a billionaire? I'll tell you how. I don't care which one of them it is. I don't care how much money they have, athlete, entertainer, artist, celebrity, whatever you want to say. All of them want to have some connection and attachment to our people. Case in point, look at Stacey Trash. That's right, Stacey Trash instead of Stacey Dash. That's who she is. All of them want to have some type of connection to our people because they know they can never fit into white society. See, what they do, for most of them, if they can get some interracial sexual access or a little position or some status, they'll jump over there and hang with them people as long as they're tolerated. But as soon as the white people say, okay, you know what, nigga, The gig is up. It was cute to have you here as a mascot. We don't want one of you in here anymore, or at least we don't want you. We need a new one. You kind of stale. We need a fresh coon. So go back over there to your people. But okay, well, that's not our problem. We gonna have to start closing the doors on these bastards, man. We gonna have to close the doors on them. They gonna have to feel that. That means, look, this is what I'm saying when I say inflict the consequence. I mean strip you of all social credentials that we've given you. Strip you of all acknowledgement. You become a permanent pariah in our community. Because see, the things that people with his kind of influence and economic resources are able to inflict harm on upon our community, we can't overlook that. This is life or death when you start playing with certain things dealing with white supremacy. One of the main things that I respect about that small hat community, and some of you may disagree with this, to me, they're the most on-code group of people in America, because no matter what you say about their people, big, small, or in between, they do not tolerate. They'll be like, oh, nope, we remember what we went through last time. We can't even let you get started with this. And he's learning that lesson now. He's learning that lesson now because, see, here's another reason why I call the small hat community the most on-code people in America. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what my dream is to see before my time upon this planet ends. I want to see us get to the point where we're so codified that money is not something that can sway us one way or another. The reason why Chase Bank made him withdraw that money out of there, you know some of those people are working there. See, when you open up your mouth without thinking strategically, you shoot yourself in the foot. Technically, you shoot yourself in the head when you do that, when it comes on into it in an economic sense. But see, their codification is so strong. They're like, we don't care if you're a billionaire. You insulted our people. We don't play that. We have set a unified standard across the board that whenever any of you says anything disparaging about our people, this is the standard modus operandi. This is the unified protocol in which we will deal with you. When we reach that level, I'm going to tell y'all, family, when we reach that level where our integrity means more to us than money, not that money's not important. It is a component of power that you need to build with. It is a very important tool. But what I'm saying is we don't compromise our integrity in the long run when it could harm us. That's what I respect about that community that he offended. But I'm going to let him keep talking.
Because my mom was an actress, so she was a liberal. And my dad would see certain things and say, you know, we should do it this way, we should do it that way. And the people got around my mom and pulled her away, much like, you know, Kim is a Christian, but she has people who want her to go to Interview magazine and put her ass out while she's a 40-something-year-old multi-billionaire with 4 black children. And this is what...
Y'all know I'm finna light him up on this. Oh, I'm finna light him up on this. See, look, man. Young black men, if you are listening to the sound of my voice live or recorded, let me point something out to you, because I got to get on him for this. He's saying that Kim is a Christian and it's everybody that's around her that's influencing her to have her ass out every 5 seconds. No, Negro. That was in her from the beginning. You were the fool that decided to go and wife up the pass around chick that other men that share the complexion of our uniform were smart enough not to wife up, and the other white men were damn sure not gonna wife her up. You picked up other people's trash and decided to put the title, the honorable title of wife upon that tramp. That's not nobody influencing her. She being who she want to be. One thing that is true, it was true before I was born. It was true after I was born. It's going to be true long after any of us die. You cannot turn a hoe, male or female, into a housewife or a husband. That's just not going to happen. But yet somehow this man was looking at her. See, this goes back to the common sense thing. Because see, if he wouldn't have said that, I would have left this alone. But he said it. So I got to go here. I wonder, what is it about Sambos like him? Because he's not the only one. I wonder what is it about Sambos like him that will see clear throwaway trash that other white men don't want, but you go slobbering behind it like some kind of a starving, hungry dog? For what? What could you do with Kim Kardashian? The woman is an airhead. Yes, I'm going here. She doesn't have any real talent. She doesn't. This woman's claim to fame is being exposed on the internet through a sex tape. And that's what you chose to wife up. And you remember when he was getting all in his feelings when people was coming at him. See, a man like Kanye West that does that, because you can do whatever you want to do as a grown man. Let's be clear on that. You can do that. But one thing that you're not going to be able to do, specifically around other alpha male successful black men, you can't come into a room with those of us that are self-made men with a tramp on your arm and expect us to give you some respect. That's not going to happen. You can get as mad as you want. You can say what you want. You will not get the respect of your peers, even if you are on our economic level, because see, the woman that you choose to represent you at your side, that's your queen. That's supposed to be an extension of you to a certain degree. Even when she's not in your presence, she's supposed to represent you well. That is your representative, and vice versa. Vice versa, when you outside of your wife's presence, as a husband, you're supposed to represent her well. That's what team is all about. So I had to get that off my chest. Because see, unfortunately with this man, and I doubt that his father has even had the conversation with him on what I just spoke about. Now, true enough, if he did, he's a grown man. He's going to do what he want to do. But when people really care about you, man, I'm going to tell every one of y'all in this chat something, right? And just in case you've never thought about this before we get on with this, understand that the people that love you most are not afraid to piss you off if it means telling you the truth. You might not like it. You might not accept it. But if people really love you, they're going to pull you to the side and let you know when something's not right. Now, you can take it or leave it, but at least they will have said, you know what? You might not like what I'm saying to you, but I'm going to tell you if nobody else tell you. I don't think this man really has anybody like that in his life. And see, that's another danger about when you get that type of money. If you become distant away from your family and you don't have good character discernment, you have a bunch of snakes around you and they'll tell you anything to keep you in a situation where they can benefit off you. They don't care nothing about your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health. As long as they can benefit, that's all they care about. But let's continue analyzing this.
How fashion wants to, how they want to present her. So I know you give these questions and I give you like these 3-part answers. Is this a cool format for you?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, cool.
And I am following it.
All right.
So you said that your father said when he saw the shirt White Lives Matter, it's great to see a black man stating the obvious. So by which I think you meant that's obviously true.
Yeah, that's my favorite response, because I kept on thinking, like, you know, people, they're looking for an explanation, and people say, well, as an artist, you don't have to give an explanation, but as a leader, you do.
Yes, I think that's right.
So the answer to why I wrote White Lives Matter on a shirt is because they do. It's the obvious thing.
Yeah. Why do you think that's so? And I assume the implication is, of course, all lives matter because they're lives, because God created them.
Yeah.
Why do you think that would be considered controversial?
Okay, Tucker the Sucker Carlson. Since this $1 billion buffoon sitting here before you want to address it, I'm going to address it right now. When they say white lives matter, which they do, decent white lives definitely do matter. All decent lives definitely do matter. But see, I'm going to show you something how you know, for those that are younger over here that may not be aware of certain things, if you've had nobody to teach you, or for any adult over here that's never really thought about it like this. If they're okay with somebody like Kanye acknowledging that white lives matter, then why, and we've all seen their reaction to just a sign with Black Lives Matter on it. Now, I'm not a supporter of Black Lives Matter, the organization, but just the concept itself. If you really did think all lives mattered, why do you get so raging, frothing at the mouth? We've seen people go berserk if they seen one of them signs. Tearing signs up, vandalizing stuff, trying to assault people. So if everybody's life really matters like you say, why would you be driven into such a rage or a frenzy when you see that simple sign? Don't tell me that's not a white supremacist dog whistle. But see, a buffoon like this man that everybody's claiming that's a genius, he will never tell Tucker Carlson that to his face or any other white person. You know, it's a very sad thing when you get to the point that you are so far removed from your people that you can't even identify with your people anymore. Because this man clearly don't identify with black society in America. He really don't. But see, again, when you drift that far away and you don't even try to surround yourself with people that you could learn things from, we don't even try to surround yourself with people that could give you a different thought process, give you some actual history to study, or better yet, the most important thing that you can do as a human being when you don't understand something, instead of trying to prance around with an inflated ego or bravado as if you know something, the most intelligent thing in the world you can do when you're confused is ask a question, ladies and gentlemen. There's no such thing to a good faith, genuinely confused person as asking a question. Let's let him continue.
Because the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have. My dad grew up as a military brat, and his family moved around, but they were based mostly in Delaware. And at the time, if they weren't the only black family, they were one of the few. And
now, focus on what he just said about his upbringing, as far as like his father, moving around like that. See, and anybody that served in the military understands this. That's one of the most unfortunate things about that type of lifestyle, where you constantly moving around like that and you got children, and the places that you move to are like isolated from the average black person or the average black community. What happens with those children, they usually grow up detached from the rest of the ways black society is. So that starts early. So I want y'all to see how important that is when you make certain decisions. Because see, when we see these people like Kanye West, Candace Owens, whoever you want to name, they didn't get this way overnight. One of the most important things that we need to start doing, which is what I'm doing here today, we need to start analyzing and breaking down what led these people to become the coons and sambos that they are. That's important because, see, when you look at any type of problem and you want to come up with a solution to it, you have to go back to the origins of things. You have to go back to the beginning and see what was the genesis of that, and see what led to this becoming as big an issue as it is. And when it comes to coons in our society, we should always inquire about their upbringing. That's one thing I love it when they start talking about their childhood, where they went to school, okay, what type of values their parents had. All of that plays into it so that we can understand what mistakes not to make when we're raising our own children. Let's let him continue.
And he would be discriminated against because he was black. So by the time he got into college, he would be discriminated against. He went to a black college. He would be discriminated against because they said he talked too white.
Yes.
And then he played the kick drum in the band. So when he would go to the club and the music was playing, where would he clap his hands? Where the kick drum is.
Yeah.
So it was the opposite of where everyone else was clapping their hands. And this is the most elegant and tasteful person that I know. And when my mom, when the school suggested, like the herding systems, because what they do is take the black community and they separate us, and they separate the families, and the educated, they push this, need for higher education, and us as blacks,
They who, Kanye? They who? Pay attention to how he keeps saying they and them. That they who? Why you can't say who the they is that's doing all the separating and doing all this stuff to black people? And another thing I want to point out. You see this a lot with a lot of tethers that come over here, and you see this a lot with a lot of a lot of FBA coons that are over here. One of the biggest telltale signs and red flags that you dealing with a coon, when they start referring to us as blacks and the blacks as if they're not black themselves. They see, it's a Freudian slip. They refer to our people and themselves in the third person a lot of times. I want y'all to catch that, because y'all know for the most part we don't call each other blacks or the blacks. That's how you can tell they've been around them people, primarily white conservatives, too damn long, to the point that they don't even identify with us no more. But let them keep talking here.
We discriminate against each other and say, well, I got my PhD and you don't have your PhD, so I'm better than you. And so my mom, she had a PhD, and she was influenced to move to the south side of Chicago and take this job at Chicago State University. And she told my dad, if you come for us, you'll never see him again. Because, the media ridiculed me for getting the house next door to Kim to see my children. And they even said that I was stalking her and her new boyfriend because I bought the house next door to see my children. And that's how I knew that my mom had said that to him. I said, Dad, they moved us to one of the most agreed upon to be one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's almost like they tried to kill me or something. I said, Dad, why'd you never come to get us? And that's when he told me that she was told that. There's so many things that are put in Kim's head. They bring influencers, like no one ever knew where.
Before I let him continue babbling about that tramp, the Kardashian that he's obsessed over, ladies and gentlemen, one of the most important reasons I wanted to bring this presentation to you, or this broadcast to you today, is notice when they sit here. And as our brother TBA said, somebody put it in the chat room earlier, if you want to get the truth from a black person, sit them down in front of a white person. One of the most detrimental things that you can do is sit down and spill your guts about trauma to white people, because they don't give a damn about none of us. What they're doing is they're analyzing your trauma. See, this is the part that scares a lot of black people when you start talking about the way white supremacists mechanics in their mindset is. They don't care nothing about what you expressing to them. They're taking notes to see how they can duplicate that trauma further and produce another controllable, buck-broken version of you. Tucker Carlson don't give a damn about this man or nothing he's saying. The only thing that he and his handlers at that network give a damn about is how can we take notes on the weakness that has been inflicted upon this man, because let's be clear, he's a buck dancing coon, but he is also a victim of white supremacy like all of us. They study the damage inflicted upon our people so that they can further duplicate the process. I want y'all to pay close attention to that. They study the mental and emotional trauma inflicted upon our people to see how they can further duplicate the process. That entire look, and again, as I said before, when the camera pans over to Tucker Carlson's face, see if he's looking at Kanye as if somebody that's paying attention to you in a conversation, or see if he's looking at Kanye as if you studying an experiment or a lab rat. See, that's an uncomfortable thing for a lot of black people to understand about how these people view us. But that's the truth. Let's let them continue.
Corey Gamble came from. No one in the fashion world knows where Gabby came from. These people were practically made in a laboratory, in my opinion. And one of the things that they're really good at doing is being nice and being likable. And what they do is, for people that have some form of influence, whether it's an educated black woman like my mother that became the head of the English department at Chicago State University, or whether it's the most influential white woman on the planet being my ex-wife, they have people.
Pause again. I will say this out of compassion for that brother, and I call him brother loosely. One thing that is clear about is when his mother passed, that he never did get the type of support or therapy that he needed, because grief is a very powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing. It is even possible enough to grieve hard enough where it could actually kill you. That is very true. So I wonder what type of relationship he had with his father, because you would think that if you had one living parent left, that would be the person that you would draw closest to. I wonder what happened during that time when his mother passed. I really wonder about that, because see, what I'm looking at with Kanye, I'm looking at how do you get to this point? How do you get to the point that you so far away from your people with over $1 billion and you become the perfect slave and tool for white supremacy? We have to analyze these things from that standpoint, ladies and gentlemen. It's very important that we do so, because war has been declared upon us. The Coon blueprint is something that we have to study and make sure that we dissect and understand the beginnings of it, understand the progression of it, and somebody that's on the way to being one. And we need to understand what happens when you go full Coon. That's very important, because we're not going to get that type of education or listen from our adversaries. It's to their advantage to make sure that we don't figure that out. So keep that in mind as we listen to the rest of this.
That are around them at all times, telling them what to be afraid of. It's like not what to do or say specifically, it's what to be afraid of. And if you have a person that isn't afraid of them, you know, like a Russell Brand or Candace Owens, or it's not that we have to agree with this, but
they're not afraid.
They're not afraid to state what their opinion is.
Yes.
Everyone knows.
But all of you are afraid to state anything that goes against your handlers and the people that you're trying to seek favor from over there in the Republican and the Conservative Party. All of you are afraid to do that. See, understand something. If you're going to call yourself a free thinker, but all this free thinking you're doing never disagrees with the people that you're trying to get in good with, how can you really call yourself a free thinker? You're actually a prisoner of your own cowardice. That's what you are. And making that statement talking about the most influential white woman, to who? Who she? Look, let's deal with that real quick before we get back into this. She's not influential to other white women because they look at her as a failure. Other white men don't want her as a wife. Who the fuck she influential to? They know she has no talent like the rest of them, but she really doesn't, and she has a permanent scarlet letter on her because, see, one thing that you don't do, and a lot of people don't understand this old phrase, once you go black, you never go back. They're not saying that because, oh, you going to enjoy being with a black person so much that you never going back. What white society is telling you that once you go over there, don't you come back over here. The only person that gets that privilege in the country is the white man. That's the only person that gets the privilege to hop back and forth because he's considered the dominant one. When a white man goes and gets with one of these bed wenches out here, they don't look at that as a permanent stain on him because they know that he's in the power position. He's in the authority position. He's in a conquering position. It is not the same for their women. Oh, no, it is not the same for their women. And as far as like black society being influenced or looking up to her, the only people that look up to her in black society are our most incompetent and degenerate. And and the intellectually lazy. That's the only people that look up to a Kim Kardashian. Because, see, I'm going to tell you something right now. If you are a black parent and your children are looking up to a Kim Kardashian and you don't catch that and point out why that's nobody to look up to in specific terms, you are failing your children. I just want to point that out. So let's continue analyzing this.
No one is God, and everyone has an opinion.
So a conversation like this is a window into a world that you don't see. So if you're familiar with West from the media, you think of him as an individual man. What you don't think about is that he is at the center of a battle, and people like him are at the center of a battle to get a message out. Mouthed by the lips of influencers like him and so many others, that extends a storyline on behalf of, well, in this case, the status quo. So there are a lot of people vying to make certain that people like him say the right things, and the consequences for not doing that are very severe. So for him to come out and say all lives matter, obviously, is a huge threat to a lot of people. Who are those people exactly? Well, we asked him, and he told us. That's next.
Now, notice that Tucker said that Kanye was trying to get a message out, right? What's the message you trying to get out, Tucker? Why won't you be direct? See, this is why you have to directly question them, as Neely Fuller Jr. has taught us. Get them to say what they mean. Get them to be direct about what they're talking about. Okay? Because see, in the next segment of this interview that we're going to break down here, I want y'all to pay close attention to what Kanye started going into detail about. Okay? I want y'all to really focus on the things that he's going to be saying. Because, boy, if y'all thought it was bad so far, you ain't seen nothing yet. Oh, it's about to get a lot worse.
Country, he still wasn't free to say what he thought. And that changed his life, that realization. More of our conversation with West now.
There's a group mob. It's like liberal Nazis that will go up and attack you. Like I said, everybody's like, Anna Wintour's your friend. I'm like, this Gabby girl and Gigi and these people, they would have never said anything negative unless they got the okay from Condé Nast, unless they got the okay from Anna. They would have never got the okay to comment. Like, let's just talk about specifically.
So these are people who were attacking you for your t-shirt.
Well, it was a setup. It started off as
it wasn't no setup, Kanye. You made a decision. Nobody tricked you. Nobody set you up. Your ignorant cooning ass made a decision to put that White Lives Matter t-shirt on. See, with people like him that suffer from his type of ego and delusion, it's always somebody else's fault. Look at how this man is looking around the room while he's talking to. That's how you can tell this man is off his medication. Just pay attention to his state of mind while he's talking to this man. Let's let him continue.
It started off as them having this black girl comment and say, well, I felt traumatized when I saw this t-shirt. It's like this a black girl saying, I felt traumatized when I saw a black man wearing something that he wasn't allowed to wear. It's like in Django when Jamie Foxx is on top of a horse and Samuel Jackson's like, that black guy's not supposed to be on top of the horse. Okay. And then I went and said, hey, I don't like your boots. I know Anna Wintour doesn't like your boots and you're not a fashion person. And then people started to say I was a bully, but it was a setup. And they finally got it, right? Because I eliminated the BLM officer at Adidas. And then I got out of the Gap.
Look how this man just rambling all over the place. Do y'all see why it's so foolish for anybody to try to call this man a damn genius? He can't even keep his thoughts together. He can't. How you gonna be a genius if you can't even keep your thoughts together from one issue to the next? Let's let him continue.
And just one by one, I've been winning these battles, right? And they thought they had me. They had the idea that Ye was bullying what I think the liberal term is a body goals black woman. Now let's talk about Gabby and my good friend Lizzo. Lizzo works with my trainer, a friend of mine, Harley Pasternak. When Lizzo loses 10 pounds and announces it, the bots, that's a term for people it's like telemarketer callers, like on Instagram, they attack her for losing weight because the media wants to put out a perception that being overweight is the new goal when it's actually unhealthy. Yes. Let's get aside the fact of whether it's fashion and Vogue, which is not. Let's just, or if someone thinks it's attractive, to each his own. It's actually clinically unhealthy, and for people to promote that.
Okay, now he talking like he got some sense. I agree with him there. That is very unhealthy for them to promote that. But see, once again, don't just say the media, because see what he's doing when he starts trying to talk about issues. He does what white people do when it comes to actually calling racism and white supremacy what it is. Instead of saying racism or white supremacy, they'll say, oh, they're ignorant, oh, they're stupid. No, call it what it is. Who's promoting it, Kanye? White society, the dominant society, is promoting everything like that unhealthy to us because they look at Lizzo as a big minstrel. And believe it or not, I actually do hope that sister turn her situation around, because I don't wish it on her, but she can't stay that size or get any bigger and continue to live and be healthy. Yes, I've seen her perform. Everybody's like, yeah, she can move around on stage and this and that. But honestly, when you just start to look at the science of things, right? A woman's bone structure is nowhere near as dense as a man. It was not designed to hold that type of weight. A woman was not designed to hold hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I mean, that's just the science talking, not me. But what I'm disappointed about with anybody like a Kanye, when you start talking around who's responsible for an issue, that's where I have a problem with you at. But let's let him keep talking. He actually is making some sense right here.
It's demonic. You know,
What would I ask?
Yeah.
I've noticed this also.
yeah.
Why do you think they would want to promote unhealthiness among the population?
See, there's the they again. Notice Tucker Carlson is saying they. Basically what he's saying, and both of them are saying when they say they trying to just put that all on the liberals or the Democrats. No, it's the system of white supremacy as a whole, which both parties uphold and participate in. But let's let them keep talking.
It's a genocide of the black race. They want to kill us in any way they can. Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics, with the KKK. And I believe that if we saw ourselves as a people and not a race, then we would treat our people better. Like if you go to a Jewish person and you say a race, it almost gets confusing. They'll cut you off quickly and say, we're not a race, we're a people.
I got to go ahead and dissect that BS that he just said. See, y'all have heard me say this many times, and I'm going to say it again right here on this live stream today. You deal with things as they are on a battlefield, not for what you wish they were, not for what they could be, not for what they should be. Unfortunately, in America, your race is your team. So for anybody like him that people keep calling a genius, keep trying to go and try to remix or try to put their own spin on like our situation in this country. Oh, well, if you don't go by race and you call yourself a people, what difference does it make when the system of white supremacy targets us because we're black? No matter what fairy tales you tell yourself, if you're wearing the uniform of our skin in this country, your race is your team, and these people hate us before we exit the womb. See, this type of foolishness right here, if a child latches onto this without any type of proper parental guidance, they'll actually think what he just said made some sense. These people are not playing games with us. We don't have time for even mentally ill or incompetent people like him that they put before us, because they know, look, I'm just going to call it what it is. They know that if you put people in front of us like Kanye West, who are incoherent, whether it's their fault or not, if you put those people in front of us and they have a large measure of influence over us, they're not worried about him influencing most adults. That's not what they're worried about. You better understand how strategic white supremacist warfare is. They're making sure that they put him in front of all these networks and cameras and stations and TVs and apps and everything. They want to put him in front of all of our children who are still impressionable, and they know, unfortunately, in our community, there's a lot of people that don't give two shits about what their children learn day in and day out. Your most important job on this planet is being a black parent, and that job is 24/7. It does not stop. Some of these people, man, sit their children down in front of a TV or a tablet or a phone, and they don't know what them children looking at. You better be completely coherent and aware of what your children are ingesting on the internet, on TV, everywhere across the board. That is your job as a parent, so that when they come across some idiot like this, spouting this foolishness, you can educate them on what things really are, especially if they're of age. Because see, if you go out into this world believing things are not what they are in this country, you in danger as a black person in America. We don't have the luxury to do that. Let's let them continue.
Well, our people are supposed to just say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Okay, well, what about, do you own the land that you're living in? Do you own, is the contracts even in a language that's even possibly understandable?
Right.
You know, for your heritage, you know, and in America, we as blacks will like down each other on how good we speak, but we're speaking English. There's nothing whiter than English. We're not in our native tongue, actually. So we judge each other on white goal lines, not based on exactly what our culture is based on.
Pause right there before we get into the rest of this. First thing, Kanye, everybody loves to start speaking French. We don't do that. Black people that are not connected to their roots, their heritage, and their history do that. We don't judge ourselves off of what white society standard is. If you're a black person in your right frame of mind and you actually had parents and a family worth a damn to teach you things. And let me address something to the so-called meme comment here in the chat. Yes, it is the media, but my point over here, brother or sister, is the media is controlled by the dominant society, okay? That's the point. That's the point. The media is controlled by the dominant society, and Kanye is not calling that out. That man hasn't used the two terms, white supremacy, not one time in this interview. That is cowardly. It is irresponsible of somebody with his type of influence, and it's not something that we should adopt as a standard in our community. You cannot deal with an issue or a problem unless you identify it and call it for directly what it is. See, every other community has sense enough to do that. So just keep that in mind, brother or sister in the chat, with the point that you made. My issue is calling it directly what it is so that we can deal with it as it is. Now, what you're going to see and the rest of this coming up is something that a lot of people that I know are close to him never addressed him about. Because believe it or not, if you think Kanye is the only coon in this broadcast, I got a surprise for you. I got a surprise for you. You just wait. It's an even bigger coon than Kanye in here. But yeah, let's get into it.
So you can agree or you can disagree, but it's pretty clear that what you just heard is not the approved script. And famous people must read from the approved script or else the whole system falls apart. Because then people might be encouraged to think for themselves. And once you do that, it's a chain reaction that winds up with disobedience. So someone like Kanye, now Ye West, must be controlled. So he was a little surprised to learn after his divorce that his former wife had in fact a close and secretive relation with the Clintons, and that they were working on her to influence him to read from the script. Pretty amazing. He was shocked by it, and so were we. That's next. The first indication that West might become a massive problem for the industrial deception complex came in 2015 and 2016 when Donald Trump appeared, and West had a very strong gut reaction to Trump that was very positive, and the people around him were panicked by this. The last thing you could have is one of the most popular pop culture figures in America coming out for Donald Trump, so they applied intense pressure to get him back on the script, and apparently his wife was part of that, his former wife, Kim Kardashian, who West now learns had a very close relationship with the Clintons and people around the Clintons. He had no idea. His relationship with Trump, on the other hand, flourished, and he got a window into the people around Trump. And in this clip, you'll hear him assess what happened inside the White House. Very interesting. Watch.
It was interesting. A friend of mine told me that Chris and Kim had called him because he had influence inside of the black community, and had called him to say, to get him to influence people to take the vaccination. Mm-hmm. And I don't have an opinion on that. I just want to state that as a flat statement. But it was it was wild that I didn't know how close my own wife was to the Clintons. I didn't know, I didn't realize.
Now, did y'all hear what this man just said? See, let me point something out that a lot of people are probably going to be too timid to say when it comes to addressing these bed bugs and bed wenches that go and get themselves in relationships with people in the dominant society. Just because a white person, male or female, is willing to crawl into bed with you, and y'all already know where I'm going, Neely Fuller Jr. has always taught us this, they don't get out of bed confused. You do. If you think for 1 second, as a black man or a black woman, that just because you laying up in bed with a white person that you know everything that it is to know about them, you out your mind. You have completely lost your mind. See, that's what I was mentioning that I don't think anybody told Kanye. What make you think that she gonna tell you everything like that? Huh? First of all, I'm gonna go back to her character as a woman again. What makes you think that a woman that carries herself the way she has is gonna tell you everything just because you the only flunky stupid enough to put a ring on this woman's finger? See, that goes back into common sense again. And see, look at that picture of him, Hillary Clinton, and Kim Kardashian on that screen. Look at the eyes of the two white people. And then look into his eye or eyes that you can see back there. The white people have a clear, coherent look of they know what's going on, but you don't know what's going on. Does anybody else in this chat room see what I just pointed out about that picture? He's the only confused looking Negro in the picture. So now here's the thing. Whether it's a black man or a black woman in that situation, one of the most dangerous things to be is to be isolated around white people and you not know what's going on as a black person. You don't have that luxury. That is a life or death situation for you in America as a black person. You can't afford to play games with being out of the loop or not understanding the environment that you're in when you're around these people. So I want y'all to just keep that in mind as he goes on and tells you about the so-called secret relationship that Kim Kardashian had with the Clintons. Let's let him continue.
At the time.
That you were married to her.
And well, I was married to her.
How close was she to the Clintons?
I mean, cell phone away, or hey, tell Ye to say this away, or hey, go out and use your platform to push the vaccination away. I mean, not away, but stick the away part. But
do you feel like at times you were manipulated by political forces through your wife?
Attempt manipulation. But yes, there was some manipulation. Me not saying I like Trump was a form of a manipulation.
For sure.
Yeah.
Why did you like him, by the way? You said you liked him early, like you saw him.
I want y'all to pay close attention to his description of why he likes Donald Trump. Because, see, I'm going to tell y'all something, man. Before he gives you his explanation of why he was so Trump crazy, because as y'all know, let me say it again, just in case anybody hears this playing back or you coming in here, you're not familiar with my work or my content. I am not for the Democrat or the Republican Party. I'm for whoever's for tangibles for our people. One of the things that I find most despicable, especially amongst black men, foundational black American men especially, but black men in general, when any of us have to look to the men of the dominant society as if we idolize them or as if they're symbols of strength. My first question that I'm going to ask you is did you grow up with your father in your life at all? Because see, for me, that should be your first inkling or ideology or example of what strength is in a man. It should be somebody that wears your uniform, preferably of your bloodline, which should be your father first. Now, if that wasn't your situation, I would hope that you would have an uncle or a grandfather. But this weird obsession that a lot of these coons have, where they look to Donald Trump because, Trump say what he mean and mean what he say. You don't know no other black men in your community, even if not in your family, that don't say what we mean and mean what we say? What is this compunction to idolize white men, whether you liberal or conservative? I just wanted to get that off my chest. Let's let him continue.
I mean, keep telling this joke. If people say Trump was the first black president, I'm gonna be the first Latino president, because all the values, the conservative values, just line up. Come on, man, Trump's this. What do you mean? He has his own buildings. What are you talking about? He's like like Ralph Lauren. He made Ivanka.
You like Ivanka?
See, look at that big cheese-eating coon grin on his face. And sadly, man, I hate to see this man looking like he just hopped out of a trash can. That's how you know that whatever he going through, he don't have nobody close to him to tell him, like, hey, brother, you finna go on TV. Get your appearance fixed up. Trim your beard up, man. Don't go on TV looking like that. You're a black man. We supposed to take pride in our appearance and our image. That's the first thing. But see, them sitting up here kikiing and cacaing, and he talking about all this stuff that he idolizing and like about Trump. My question to any coon is this: whether you liberal or conservative, what does that have to do with black people? What does any white man's success have to do with us? You can't name a great majority of white men that try to give us some game and pass down game to us about nothing. You can count that on one hand. It might be a few out there, but it's not like most of these people who they name, especially Donald Trump, who he pulled to the side and say, hey, let me give you the game. Let me put you up on something so that you can get to where I am economically. You don't see that. This sick need to look at them as a father figure, man, that's embarrassing to me as a black man. I don't know about the rest of you brothers in this chat, but that I have always found that to be an embarrassing thing when I see another black man idolizing a white man like that. I'm not saying that you can't look at them and learn game from them, but it's a whole nother ball game when you look at this person and you think that you have something in common with them. To the point, like as if you think that you and his circumstances are the exact same. That's two different realities. Even if it's not a anti-black racist white man or white woman, they can still, at will, anytime they choose, benefit off a system of white supremacy. We don't have that luxury as black people. Let's let them continue.
Yeah.
You wrote a post on Instagram about her husband today.
Yeah, you know, I had a dinner with Ivanka, Jared, and Josh. And a couple days later, I found out that Josh Kushner had 10% of Skims, which is a line that I had developed with Kim. And I had a lot of issues with the imagery of Skims. I felt like there's a lot of imagery that was overly sexualized and things that I wouldn't want to see my wife and definitely not my daughters doing in the future in order to sell product. But it reaches another level when it's like, okay, well, this is what my wife is doing and this is what she's doing for our children. But it reaches another level when her business partners are selling pieces of the company that they don't have to, because the company's already so successful and it's an internet-based company. So it's like they're really just selling off the company in order to create more relationships for themselves that are unneeded. It's like when I went to the Gap and with our release, they just like, they shoveled it out. I'm very cautious with my words. I'm really big on being able to have an adult conversation in front of the children. So I don't use explicit language in interviews especially. So I found out after this dinner that Josh Kushner had 10% of Skims and I had 5% of Skims.
Right there. Pause. I'm finna hurt some bed bugs and bed wenches feelings. You heard what he just said, right? He said that he just found out that his wife's so-called, air quotes, business partner had 10% of the company. He only had 5%. Now, ladies and gentlemen in this chat, most of you are grown. Do y'all really think that that's something that his wife didn't plan without telling him? See, for you bed bugs and bed witches out there that don't think 5 steps in front of your nose about what things are going to be like if you get involved with a white person or somebody in the dominant society, and you go to the point of marrying them and combining your finances and what have you, this is what you need to understand. Their family and their friends are majority white. You still a nigga to them. They're going to keep you out the loop on a great deal, especially when it comes to anything with economics. All you have to do is look at history. Show me one place in society where the dominant society shares resources with us. That should have been his first clue right there. You see how dangerous it is when you get away from your people and you start thinking that you have some camaraderie with these people? I want y'all to think about that now. Let's let them continue here.
And regardless if, Josh Kushner figured out how to put $150 million, I'm sure it wasn't out of his own account, but $150 million, and I'm sure Jared still has a piece of that fund. Regardless of them putting that money in, for me to have been an owner in it and not known, just from a place as a creative where Skims is so based on a lot of the Yeezy ideas, then it's based on all of the relationships in fashion, because I had to use my relationships in fashion in order to establish Kim in a way where fashionable people would say, hey, I'm down to wear Kim's line. And these VCs, they come in and they get a piece of it after the fact, and they run around and say they have ownership in it. So as I put on my Instagram, which, luckily for everyone, they could just write it off that, I'm crazy until they see my disposition in this interview, and then it's going to get scary. I said, hey Josh, what if I had 10% of Carly Kloss's lingerie shapewear swimsuit line, and you had 5% of it, and you didn't know? How would that make you feel? And then after talking to them and really sitting with Jared and sitting with Josh and finding out other pieces of information, I was like, wow, these guys might have really been holding Trump back and being very much a handler right then. They love to just look at me or look at Trump like we're so crazy and that they're the businessmen. So when I think about all of these things that...
Now y'all see how sad that is, man. Listen to what he was just saying right then. As I told you, these people start to think they have some type of camaraderie with people in the dominant society. He keep comparing himself to Donald Trump. Let me tell you something, man. And everybody in this chat room is smart enough to know this. It doesn't matter if you have the exact same dollar amount as anybody in the dominant society. They're going to still have more power than you in a system of white supremacy. Dr. John Henry Clark told us over and over again, we have no friends. And you can tell that by the way he was talking about, how would that make you feel? He don't give a damn about how you feel. You the competition, boy. The competition that they've been trying to undermine with an entire system for over 400 years. See, this is what he doesn't get. And see, he gonna say some things that's gonna shock y'all later on in this. Y'all gonna actually question and see that there's a difference between knowing something and understanding it. Y'all gonna see what I mean a little bit later. Let's let him continue.
Jared, somehow doesn't get enough credit for with his work. And what is it? His work in Israel or his work in what is this? Where he made these peace treaties? Where was that? Do you know the facts on this right here? So I'm like,
I think that was between Israel and some of the Arab nations.
I just think it was to make money. I don't know. Is that too heavy-handed to put in this platform?
No, that's your opinion. We're not in the censorship business.
Okay, thank you. And I just think that that's what they're about, is making money. I don't think that they have the ability to make anything on their own. I think they're born into money. And for me, as a maverick and a talent and a person that's been, beat, kicked, lost everything, said to have lost my mind, went from pull myself up by my boots don't have straps on, but I say pull myself up from my boots to becoming a multi-billionaire that gets the price every year of my net worth goes down every year on Forbes. They just keep on slowly just taking it down every year. It's like really a weird thing. But as a person that has really built something from nothing, when I sit across the table from a Josh Kushner and he just feels so entitled to that idea, and this person has never brought any.
Yes, Kanye, he feels entitled to the idea because he's a white man, and that's what the way they think. They feel entitled to everything. Any of us that understands the history of our people in this country know that they have stolen countless things from our people, things that we will never even know about, because during slavery, who you think was doing all the work and coming up with all the inventions? We know about some of it, but there's countless things that we'll never know about that they have stolen from our people, especially before we got the right to get patents. And Brother Amawale the Elder, let me explain something to you, brother. I understand what you're saying, but let me make something clear to you and everybody. I'm not focusing on the, well, what if, who did this or that. I'm focusing on the damage the man is doing our community. That's the only thing I'm focusing on over here. I don't care what the situation is. It is a detriment to our community when someone like him with his influence comes up and says the things he says and does the things he does, especially to the untrained. That's my only focus, brother. So please stay focused. But I'm saying over here, as far as him talking about this Jared Kushner guy and being so shocked and surprised about his behavior, that lets you know that he's not a student of white supremacy. You can't afford not to be a student of this enemy in this country. That is the most foolish thing ever. And see, look how vulnerable that leaves you. If you keep thinking that you have some type of respect or mutual camaraderie with these people, you don't have it. You can imagine that you do, but they'll never see you as one of them. And see, a lot of our people, unfortunately, a lot of our brothers and sisters that come over here from other nations tend to think that if they get a certain level of education, if they speak a certain way, try to emulate them and dress a certain way, go to the extremes of getting surgery to try to look like them, bleaching the whole nine, there's nothing that you're going to do to be able to make these people see you as an equal and treat you as if you're white. Even if you get something on a piece of paper, like some that come from other countries, saying that they're Caucasian, not in America, you not. Not in America, you not. Let's continue.
Anything of value other than so-called being a good venture capitalist, I have a major issue with that. And it makes me feel like they weren't serving my boy, Trump, the way we could have, because, you know, Trump wanted nothing but the best for this country. And it doesn't, like, Moses stuttered. And saying God is not always going to bring the most perfect personality. A lot of times the most fake people, their job is talking and making people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and the realest people are going to make you feel uncomfortable at first.
Yeah, that's not shallow. And it's also not crazy. It's true, whether you agree with it or not. So, West has thought a lot about politics, and he's thought a lot about what's going to happen in 2024. You'll hear that coming up. He's also very close to Elon Musk, which we didn't know. Asked him off the cuff, do you know Elon Musk? Whether West is crazy, as virtually every single media outlet on planet Earth claims every day, all year long. Is he crazy? As you try to assess that, ask, is what you just heard over the past 40 minutes any crazier than what you see on television every day? The lies, the lunacy presented to you with a straight face as reality? No, it's not. It's not crazy at all. He's a big thinker, though. We asked him about 2024, what he plans to do, and also about Elon Musk. Here it is.
People with power try to make other people feel like they don't have any. My power is through God. So if someone ever says anything like, oh, you did a great job, it's praise God. It's funny, atheists love the term narcissist when you believe in yourself.
Right.
They say that it's narcissistic. I love the dynamic of how you compare, you show that there's still humanity even with the position that God has placed me in. Why did Moses smite the rock? Why do you get that?
I got to go ahead and interject right quick. One of the things you're going to have to pay attention to, ladies and gentlemen, is when anybody from our community starts invoking God on things from an improper perspective. If you truly were being led by God, then you would be able to see that it's not just the liberals and the Democrats that you should take issue with, but it's also the conservatives. Think about it. He keeps talking about Trump is his boy, Trump is his friend. That's just juvenile and childish. But you're not bringing up what Trump did in the past, the things that have clearly shown him to be an anti-black racist. Okay? And we all see what Joe Biden is. So don't anybody start talking about Joe Biden. We know about that. What I'm focusing on is when any book dancing conservative starts looking at these people that they think they have so much in common with, and they just completely put on blinders to any of the things that they clearly know that these people have done that show them to be against our people. That's absolutely pathetic. But I want y'all to listen to what he's about to describe here about Elon Musk and a lot of this, because see, a lot of people just get so caught up in this man's personality, calling him a genius and this, that, and the third, that nobody starts to really break down and analyze what he's saying. They get caught up in a cult of personality and they don't really stop to think and look at how delusional this man is about his position in America as a black man. Just because you got money, that don't mean nothing. And as we see, them small hairs are teaching him that right now. Let's let him continue.
Frustrated. And just to be able to be gentle, to be more gentle. God is alive. Look at this right here. Look at how quiet it is right now. It's only God. God is of order. The devil is of chaos. That's true. We are. I wanna talk about my potential run for 2024 and Trump's potential run for 2024 and the beloved DeSantis potential run for 2024 and Mayor Suarez potential run for 2024. And they thought Trump was a joke.
Let me pause right here. Now y'all heard him name out all these people talking about his run for 2024. First things first, let's deal with this, because see, in his world, he doesn't have anybody that's going to tell him the truth. But I'm going to tell the truth over here on this channel today, on this broadcast. If you were considering running with these people as anything other than a vice president at the same time, white America's not going to vote for you, man. Who do you think you are? Somebody have to burst his bubble here. I mean, seriously, does anybody in this chat, I don't care whether you like his music, whether you like him, agree with him, disagree with him, does anybody think that if this man ran at the same time as those people that he mentioned, that he would stand a chance in hell of getting the white vote over them? Because see, when you give white supremacy a choice of pseudo white supremacy or the real thing, they're going to choose the real thing every time. Every time. See, this lets you know that not only Kanye, but other people like him, when they get to a certain level, they actually forget that they're black in America. They really do think that having some money makes them something other than black. They really do. And see, here's another thing, right? I want y'all to listen to this man, not only here on this broadcast today, but I want you to listen to him in the future when he starts making these statements and other people like him. See, he's in a position where he has economic resources. Kanye, I would almost give you some small measure of respect if you said, okay, I'm going to use my resources to raise up some black conservatives from the grassroots. Where's his program to do that? Why are you so stuck and adamant on kissing behind white ass? See, that's what I don't respect. Let's let him continue.
For older white people, they're quick to classify a black person only by the fact that we're black. Even Trump, a person that's we'd consider to be a friend of mine. When I went to the White House, I called him after that to get A$AP Rocky out of jail. And one of the things he said to me is, Kanye, you're my friend. When you came to the White House, my black approval rating went up 40%.
Now let's deal with that statement right there, because that is an oxymoron. And the moron didn't catch the oxymoron. Let me break it down. If when he told you that his black approval rating went up after people saw you going to the White House, y'all got the photo out, that should have let you know, Negro, that you are not his friend. You are a commodity. You are something to be used. You are a prop. You are something that any white person over there in that conservative party or the liberals, this applies to both parties, you are somebody just that's going to benefit me. That's it. You're not somebody's friend, and you're not somebody's partner either. Because, see, you cannot partner or be friends with somebody that you don't have equal authority and power to. See, so many of us get that misconstrued, man. A lot of our people, man, really don't sit down and study the work of grandmaster teachers so that you can learn exactly what power is and how it functions. That should have let him know right there that, wait a minute, maybe I'm not his friend. He's not telling this man any secrets that he hadn't told, that he would tell other people. He's not, because, see, I'm going to let you know right now that he's not this man's friend. Think about it. Donald Trump is a very polarizing figure, okay? He's had his ups and downs dealing with all types of things, as we see right now. If he was really Kanye's friend, you know what a friend would do? A friend would pick up the phone and call you and tell you, hey, man, until you get your situation together, you need to stay out the media. You need to sit down. If he was really his friend and he gave a fuck about him, see, I want y'all to hear how ridiculous it is for this man to call Donald Trump his friend, or any white person that he's referring to. If he was really his friend and he cared about him, knowing what he knows, he would have picked up that phone and said, hey, man, don't wear that White Lives Matter t-shirt, man. Don't do that. You're going to ruin your career. You know how your people going to feel about that. Just throwing that out there now. Yeah, dude, I mean, that's what a friend would do, right? Let's let him continue.
And for politicians, all black people are worth is an approval rating. The Democrats feel that they don't owe us anything, and Republicans feel that they don't owe us anything. Blacks have never demanded something for our vote. And that's something I talked to Ice Cube about. What are we asking?
See, this is why it's hard for me to take anybody serious that called this man a genius. I'm going to let him finish what he was saying, but just look at where I paused it at. He just said that we've never demanded anything for our vote. First of all, that's completely false. If you go back and look at the 60s, what do you think the civil rights movement was, jackass? And then he mentioned Ice Cube. What you think the contract with Black America was? That was us demanding something in exchange for our vote. Listen, anybody calling this man a genius after I finish breaking this down today, you need your head examined. Let's let him continue.
How do we change our life if all of our organizations and all of our colleges and even our title as black was made by white people? All of our jobs and Black Wall Street, Harlem after gentrification. There's never been a fully black-owned community where we have all the municipalities, things that Dr. Claude Anderson talks about.
I gotta stop him again. See, this is the problem with entertainers and athletes and people that fall into that category of artists, what have you. They don't really study anything about history. They spend so much time working on being good at their particular field of craft, which is good. Do that. That's your talent. Exploit it and get paid off of it. But when it comes to making statements like this, that we've never had a place, what the hell do you think Black Wall Street was, Kanye? That was built from the ground up by our people before we had access to any of these things today. For him to make that asinine statement, That lets you know how out of touch with things he is. And like the sister Quiet Mind says, yeah, you're right. He does watch, all of them watch new black media. Whether our channels are big or small. Because see, I'm going to tell y'all a little something. There's a way that you can look at your channel and see who watches it. You'd be surprised. One of these days, I'll show a screenshot of who's over here on this channel. Because my channel isn't the biggest channel out there. But they're looking. You better believe that. So, to further add to my point about him making that statement, and he's invoking Dr. Claude Anderson. Now, the ironic thing about that is, you invoking Dr. Claude Anderson, and many coons will do this. But the one thing that you leaving out is that he never neglected addressing white supremacy, the cause of our issues in America, the root cause of it. You can't tap dance around that. There's no way to do that and have any of us on the grassroots take you serious. We look at you as a buffoon and a detriment. And it's sad because he's $1 billion buffoon. Let's let him keep continuing here.
We need that. It's like 90% of America is not even developed. I'm not one of the people that go up and say, hey, I want to stop anybody from making money. The people that make money and the powers that be, I am your true Nikola Tesla.
This man's ego is just ridiculous, man. First of all, you may not be the type of person that want to stop anybody from making money, Kanye. But see, the problem for those of us in Black America is we have an entire system designed to stop us from making money every day. Understand that whether you are a brother in corporate America, whether you're an independent Black business owner, they have an entire system set up to sabotage us. They are 100% every day that they wake up focused on stopping us from having any type of economic prosperity. All you have to do is just take a look around you. But see, when you surrounded by the people that this man's surrounded by, nobody's going to point these things out to this man. Nobody's going to point that out to him. I'm doing this for a reason. I want y'all to pay attention to the rest of this, what he's about to say here.
And I'm not even a scientist.
What do you think of Elon Musk? Do you know him?
Very well.
What's your take on him?
You said that because I said Tesla?
I did, yeah. This is the first thing that...
And that everyone's always like, oh, Elon's got these answers. I think he's a great team player.
And West...
Now, before we continue here, you remember when he was just comparing himself to I'm the true Nikola Tesla and all that? And did you see that smug laugh and that look that Tucker Carlson gave the man? Let me tell you what that was. That goes back to the plantation days when they gave male slaves the name king or female slaves the name queen. They did that as a mockery because they knew that you don't have no real power over them, so it was considered something to make fun of you as. So when a white man sees any Black person putting himself up higher in the system of white supremacy than he is, it's amusing to them. I want y'all to understand that. It's amusing when you put yourself up and make yourself more important than you really are, because they know that at the end of the day, if you cross them, just like he's learning with the small head community, they can take everything you have with a pen stroke or a few phone calls. See, that's why you'll never hear me or those of us over here in New Black Media or on the grassroots that are doing well for ourselves. You'll never hear me bragging about what I have. They can take anything that we got with the stroke of a pen if they wanted to. And it wouldn't be nothing that none of us could say to stop them. Keyword say. There's other things that could be done about it, but I'm going to let y'all fill in the blanks from there. We're going to analyze the rest of this, and I got to apologize in advance. Before we even get to it, I'm going to warn you, if you was able to stomach Kanye, there is a very nasty, black mass, Grayford, chunky surprise coming up in here. He's the godfather of all coons. I'll say he's a godfather of coons, because Kanye ain't the only coon we got in. So I'm just apologizing, but it was necessary for you to see this. I'm just putting that out there in advance before we get to him. But let's continue.
Discovered that when he initially decided he kind of Donald Trump. Watch.
I never actually told people that I liked Trump when he was running because I was bullied by Hollywood, because I stayed in Hollywood and people like, think about your kids, and I'm trying to hold on to the marriage, so I'm just biting my tongue. Like, there's so many fathers and mothers that go to work every day and they're in a situation where they're biting their tongue because they think it will be better
Yes.
for their children.
That's right.
So even me in my position, I was biting my tongue on my political opinion because I thought it would be better for my children.
We've got a lot more on that and what it did to him as a man living through it tomorrow night. But first, our friend Jason Whitlock, host of Fearless, joins us to assess what we just saw. Jason, what did you think of that?
I know. I had to warn y'all. I'm sorry. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. And see, look at him. Look at his face. Look at the coon smirk on his face, man. This dude, he looks like a chicken McNugget in a jacket with the little beady eyes. I mean, they all have the same look, don't they? Look at him. Oh man, one of the godfathers of cooning, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Shitlock in the house. Yeah, but see, I had to include this because I want you to hear what he's about to say, because they're about to analyze all of Kanye's cooning, and they're gonna bring up some things that we have to focus on, because see, when you see somebody like a Jason Whitlock, that's what Kanye is gonna be if he lives to get to that age. And see, heaven forbid that he ever gets into any type of administrative position over us, and even not even in an administrative position as far as in politics. Let me tell y'all something about why we have to take this cooning so serious. Everybody over here is intelligent enough to know why. Understand that when it comes times to get justice for our people, imagine a bunch of coons on a jury, if they do pick a jury of your peers, and all of them think like little dark-skinned white people. White supremacists, rather. You see why that's so dangerous? Let's get into what Jason Shitlock has to say, though. I want y'all to pay close attention to this.
Tucker, I thought a lot of things, and forgive me for doing this, but I'm going to unpack all of this on my show tomorrow. Find me at youtube.com/Jason Whitlock. But listen, that's a man wrestling with his faith in God and wrestling with the fame that makes him money and makes him rich. Right. And so throughout that interview tonight, I heard a guy that's a devout Christian, and I heard a guy that is cursed with the disease of fame. It's undermined his ability to be a good father. It's undermined his.
How you gonna be a devout Christian when you overlooking the truth about things in the dominant society to fit in with one political party? Don't tell me God is in you if you're able to do that. Because see, if God is love, if God is light, if God is truth, then God is about telling the truth. And if we are created in his image, if you are a person that believes that there is a God that exists, I do too. I believe in the creator. I'm just saying this for if you're an atheist and you listening to this. If you're going to say that God is all of those things, you can't be a person and truly be a Christian and ignore the truth that's in front of your face. And that's what Kanye and any other black person that's over there cooning with the liberals do in order to fit in. If you see wrong, no matter where it is, and you're going to claim religion or God, then you're going to have to call it out wherever it's at. Not just on one side or the other, wherever you're trying to fit in at. Wherever you see something that's not right, if you're going to claim to be a Christian or whatever faith you claim, you're supposed to be about the truth all the time. I just wanted to point that out because, see, people like Jason Whitlock, they love to try to hide behind Christianity. Now, I'm going to tell you something else that let you know that God is not in Kanye or Jason Whitlock or any of these coons that try to invoke God's name. One thing that you can't connect God to by whatever name you choose to call him is cowardice. You can't do that. That's not what God is about. But I'm going to let him finish what he's saying.
Ability to be a good husband. It's undermined his happiness. He wants to be a Christian, and the things he said about his faith and just wearing the lanyard with the ultrasound, all of that. I love that about Kanye West. It scares the heck out of the left to see someone like Kanye West, that popular, that influential, his skin color, that has those Christian values, because that's what's really under attack. His Christian value.
Oh, this big pork chop head Sambo makes me sick. See, ladies and gentlemen, imagine if somebody else came onto Tucker Carlson's show or Jason Whitlock's show and they were claiming to be a Christian too, but the only difference is they were talking about tearing down something that is confirmed and pure evil, which is racism and white supremacy in America. Do any of you think that they will be espousing how good a Christian that person is then? Think about it now. See, this is the thing that a lot of us are going to have to start remembering and pointing out, especially to the younger people when they hear stuff like this, because my concern is the young and developing minds that don't have any parental guidance out here. Okay, and anytime that we're around a black child, when it comes to figures like Kanye West, who's influential and popular, and I'm just using him for an example because he's not the only one. My emphasis today, I want to make sure that y'all having conversations with your children about why these are not people that we look up to. Even if we enjoy their entertainment, let it go as far as that. But as far as being somebody that you emulate or somebody that you really put in like high esteem, no. You have to let your children know that people like that don't belong in that category with our grandmaster teachers or other respectable people in our community that are not out here buck dancing and cooning for Republicans or Democrats. That's just something I want y'all to keep with y'all. And remember to have these discussions with not only your children, but your nieces, your nephews, your cousins, brothers, sisters. We have to take responsibility for making sure that they understand the system in which they're living in, because it's life or death. Let's let this buck dancing Sambo continue.
It scares them. They don't want him to survive. They're using him. I'm going to make an analogy. Kunta Kinte and Roots. They got him out on a tree and they're whipping him. What's your name? And they want him to say left-wing liberal. And he won't say it. He keeps saying, I like Trump. I like God. I'm a Christian. And they keep whipping and slashing him. And they're trying to make this man bow down to the liberal orthodoxy, and they're doing it as a message to me and everybody else. If you don't get in line with what we want you to think, every black man, every heterosexual black man, every black man with Christian values, we will beat you into a pulp. Kanye's man enough to stand up. I wish more men were.
What is that?
I wish more buck dancing Sambos like you would understand that you cannot praise the right, as they like to say, because they love to say right and left like they're playing some type of damn ping pong ball game. I wish more buck dancing Sambos would stand up and realize that you cannot praise them as being the model Christians when these people are not even willing to address atonement, which is reparations, cash payments first, everything else second. If you're not willing to atone and make amends for the wrong that you have done, our Holocaust on American soil, you can't call those people over there Christians. How you gonna call them Christians when you can see them doing things and supporting situations where, like the young brother Jalen Walker was shot over 60 times? How you gonna say they Christian when those same people over there, and really in both parties, but since we talking about the Republicans right now, how you gonna say that these people are Christians when you can see them posting up all kinds of racist memes, mocking George Floyd's death? Same thing with Breonna Taylor. See, these people like Jason Whitlock, they just completely act like they can't see any of that. And they make the so-called right the best thing since sliced bread. Both of those parties are white supremacist entities that are not for black people, and they're not trying to do anything to bring justice for black people. So our stance today, look, if you're not going to do for our people, the most deserving, who has fought in every war this country has ever had, that's responsible for the greater majority of the inventions that people use that make their lives more convenient. We have given everything to this nation and these people when we didn't even have it to give. If you're going to sit here and tell me that you're going to look at my people as if we're less than what we really are, which is the bedrock and foundation of this country, then okay, we don't vote for you. The only way that you get our votes is if you come to the table and bring us tangible policies. But let's let them finish this out here.
Due to you to discover that you can be one of the richest, most famous people in the world, and you still don't have the simple right to say what you really think.
Tucker Carlson, he don't have the simple right to say what he really think, because unlike you, white supremacist maggot, you're leaving out the fact that he's a black man in America. That's why he doesn't have that right and privilege to say what you and your buddies say. And notice, they don't mess with the bank accounts and resources and finances and endorsement deals of these white supremacists like Tucker Carlson when they say something off the rails. They don't do that. And see, Kanye, unfortunately, he's too foolish to realize what I just said. Let's let him continue, though.
What it does to Kanye is make him realize the importance of God and his faith, because that's the only protection you have. Again, the guy used the words that I believe. This is demonic. Everything the left preaches to black people, you should be overweight. You should.
Both parties, Jason Whitlock. Both parties are demonic parts of white supremacy. Both parties.
Kill your babies in the womb. You should embrace a negative culture that teaches you to kill each other and disrespect each other. It's a death culture. It's a genocide.
Oh, you know I ain't finna let him get away with that either, trying to put having a death culture or disrespectful only on black people, as if we see that's that whole black people are the only people that commit crimes narrative right there. No, sir. If you look at the way they treated each other before they came into contact with us, those are the most violent, evil people on the planet to each other. Go back and study some real history. See, they don't want to talk facts. When you start breaking down facts to people like Jason Whitlock, they start deflecting and dodging, and then they go into super coon mode. And see, this whole thing about, okay, we killing each other, every group, you kill where you live, okay? You kill where you live. Now, does that mean that we don't have things to fix in our community? No, that's not what that means. But they don't ever acknowledge people that have organizations that do work every day to try to minimize that. And I'm going to tell you another thing that doesn't give Jason Whitlock or anybody that makes that statement and throws the dog whistle term Chicago out there the right to speak. There's one question that you can ask any of them coons that start talking like that. What have you done to contribute to solving the problem since you act like you care so much about it? Watch them go silent. Let's let them continue.
It's demonic, just like Kanye West said. I hope he wins his battle with fame, because if he does, he's a very important voice, Tucker.
How can you say you respect someone or a group of people if you don't allow them to reach their own conclusions about the world around them? If you respect a man, you let him say his piece and you listen respectfully.
That's a good question, Tucker Carlson. So the question that I would have for him if I was able to talk to him face to face, what you just said, why don't you give black people in America that same respect? I don't care whether we going on their media platforms or if we're in our own spaces trying to converse amongst one another. They don't give us that respect at all. So yeah, you're right, Tucker. That's a good question. Let's let them continue.
It's clear as day the left doesn't respect black people. We're being used as pawns in their demonic game that they're playing. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but it's just factual. It's a death.
You trying to tell me that the conservative and Republican Party doesn't use book dancing symbols like you as a pawn? Huh, Jason Whitlock? Disagree with them and see that's the thing that you have to hit these coons with, the conservative ones or the liberal ones. All you have to do is hit them with this. Be like, disagree with those people that you claim have your back or that you think respect you. Disagree with them on anything, especially in the interest or the area of doing something specifically for black people, and watch how fast they turn on you.
Culture. It's hostile to Christian values. You have to throw them all out in order to serve their political movement. You have to be pro-abortion. You have to believe in the matriarchy and the disruption of the nuclear family. If you're a person of faith, black, white, whatever, if you understand a biblical worldview, family is at the heart of all of it. And that's why Kanye is so devastated, because his family has been destroyed. His wife is eating from the forbidden fruit of feminism, the matriarchy, and the left's demonic culture.
Yes, Jason Whitlock. She's doing all of that. And guess who made the decision to make her his wife? Kanye did. See, one thing that I'm always for, especially when it comes to black men, there's a lot of things in this country that we don't have control over. A lot of things due to the system of white supremacy. But one thing we do have control over is who we decide to create a legacy with. I don't want to hear nobody crying when you make the choices that he made. See, understand something. I got to go here with it, man. Even before he became a billionaire, When he started reaching the height of his success, you trying to tell me it wasn't no sister that he could have decided to marry and start a family with that would have really had his back? But nah, you chose Kim Kardashian? Come on, man. I don't have no sympathy for this guy. I don't make excuses for nobody in our community that has the ability to make decisions. There's a difference between a mistake and a bad decision. And too many people, everybody always run around throwing that word accountability around. I'm placing accountability on all of these coons. When you make a mistake, that's unforeseen occurrence. That could happen to anybody, tripping over something you didn't see. A bad decision, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. A bad decision requires a series of thoughts that leads to a choice. You are responsible for the choices that you make. Kanye, you wiped up a turbo thought. That's your issue to deal with, brother. That's you alone, not me or anybody else. He made that decision.
Family has been destroyed. Any person with just a layman's understanding of faith, of Christian faith, the family's at the heart of the structure. That's what God designed. This man's family's been ripped apart because his wife won't buy into his vision. She's been influenced by the Clintons and the Democratic left. These people have all been bought and paid for. This man is paying a...
You bought and paid for Jason Whitlock. And this whole she was influenced, that's a grown woman. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. If you going to claim that you living in the age of having agency, you are responsible for the decisions you make. That woman is doing what she wants to do. That's what she's doing. And him carrying on talking about family values, this, that, and the third. Neither one of them parties is really for family values. And as far as black people are concerned, they're not. Because see, think about it. If they really were for our people and they wanted to promote family values, we clearly see the Democrats ain't about that. That's just clear. They don't promote nothing towards black people that see both of us together in a healthy family state. But neither do the Republicans. They talk a good game, but when you see them speaking on Chicago this and all the black on black crime and all this other stuff, where are the people that are so concerned saying, okay, black folks, I see you got an issue in your community. We know what caused these systemic issues. Let's actually start helping you change this in a tangible way, not symbolism. You can't show me anybody over there in the Republican Party that's trying to do that. You really can't. And I ain't talking about something for minorities or people of color. I'm talking about specifically for black people. See, I want somebody to ask Jason Whitlock that question. Let's let him continue.
Pick up a price. I'm very proud of him. So I go back and forth sometimes on Kanye because, again, he's struggling with fame and he'll do some things that are inconsistent with his Christian values. But overall, is Kanye trying to be a force for good? Absolutely.
Yeah, he is. Which counts. Jason Whitlock, thank you for that. Great to see you.
Thank you.
So that interview was scheduled for 30.
So that wraps up our breakdown of that first hour of that Tucker Carlson interview with Kanye West. I wanted to point those things out because I hadn't heard anybody really honing in on the things that I mentioned in this broadcast the way I have today. And if you want to see the rest of it, you can pull it up. It's not even worth putting on this channel. My main point that I wanted to get across is I don't care what's going on with the man. My main concern is his influence to younger people in the black community. Stop calling this man a genius. This man is not a genius, because if you were a genius with any integrity, you would be directly addressing our issues when you come across white supremacists like Tucker Carlson. You wouldn't be wearing a damn White Lives Matter shirt. You wouldn't be making statements talking about slavery was a choice. You wouldn't be doing any of that. And then you flip back around when something go wrong with Kim Kardashian and your family. Oh, now it's my black kids this, my black this. No. We're going to have to draw a strict demarcation and line in the sand on any Sambo or coon trying to pull that with our people. It's time out for that. It's time to inflict consequences. Once we excommunicate you for doing egregious acts against our people, that's where you stand, over there with them people that you think you have so much camaraderie with. With that said, that is the end of the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. Much respect to anybody that donated on the Cash App, PayPal, or what have you. What I like to do as a sign of appreciation, usually about an hour after the broadcast, I like to list your names on the community tab. If you are new here and you enjoy what you heard here today, if you enjoy looking through my archives, please do make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. There's going to be a lot more content coming. Tomorrow at the same time, we are actually going to break down the Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock Georgia Senate debate. And I'm going to point out some surprising things in that broadcast to you all that I think a lot of other people are going to overlook. Everybody's going to take their shot at it. But as you all know, I try to give you a unique perspective on things over here. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to remember that you are a powerful people. You are an intelligent people. And our strength lies in us exercising the ability to stay on code so that we can deal with anything that comes our way. That's it. Black first. I'll see you all in future content.